People always came and went here. Brenda cared for a lad called Simon and another younger lad named Stephen, which with her daughter Rita took the daily household people up to 9, including Jim and Brenda, and Jim worked all day until late. I'd got familiar with the routine. I didn't like it, but I'd learned where the cake cupboard was, so instead of my bedtime involved me awake staring at the top bunk for 8 hours, it now had me stuffing my face with cupcakes each night. Result. I'd daydream I was back at Nan Allen's watching American wrestling with them, and we'd all chant, "I am a real American," to Hulk Hogan's theme song. When I'd be startled awake by a door being opened or a light slammed on by Brenda. "Time to get up!" Not for me, though. They'd not got me into a school yet. Brenda would walk off, I'd sit up and crack my head on the top bunk. But on this morning, I punched it repeatedly in frustration. I was pissed. Being startled awake, I felt like I was being attacked by Wenzel. Fuck, I was having a good dream as well. Was I awake? Nan dead? Alan dead? Me in care? What was next? This bullshit stinks. I want Caroline, Jonathan, Jodie, Mum and Wenzel all together again, under one roof. Where are they now? The familiar pains hit me one on top of the other like layers of bricks, numbing me each time they fell. And they fell hard. Yeah, I was definitely awake. I hated dinner time, but figured, hey, it's only for a week or so. Then I'm sure our parents will pick us up to move out. I started saying sorry if I forgot the shoes thing, if I didn't have the knife and fork in the right hands. I wasn't sat up straight or left my elbows on the table. Toe the line, it's not for long, I told myself repeatedly. Relax. My mind was always on speed. I was always analysing, waiting for a hit, a need to run, or a reason to argue. I was always in defence mode. I sat beside Caroline with Brenda's eldest Bob opposite, and little Jim to my diagonal left opposite Caroline. Brenda beside me to the right, Big Jim to my left at the end of the table. Caroline rarely ate at the table, and the kids had usually left by then. Cheese and crackers was my favourite dessert. We weren't allowed more than 5, which looking back was a decent amount. However, I'd quite happily eat 4 and count it as 2. Little Jim's favourite game was telling Brenda I'd eaten more than I should have. Meals held a number of problems for me. It was always a family event. They weren't my family. Also, because everyone there knew English and maths. I only knew English. My maths were god-awful, simply because no one had shown me. Yet it was me who had to stand facing the wall, looking at the times table sheet whilst everyone else sat down waiting at the dinner table for me to come up with answers so as they could eat. Brenda would randomly screech out sums. 6 times 7? I'd have to turn to face her to answer. My brain couldn't do it. It could pick up the titters and laughs from the other room, though, as I got the answers wrong time and time again. I'd go red, having not learnt the self-control for this situation yet. Violence and ridicule I was used to, yet embarrassment was new to me. I threw out idle numbers. 21? 32? 18? I'd have 3 and then be told I'd have to try again tomorrow and sent as a spectacle to the dining room beside us to eat. I can honestly say years later, I knew my times table backwards. I hated it, however, and it showed whenever I had to do maths, whether in the presence of Brenda and Jim, or alone. I'd turn embarrassed and second-guess myself constantly. It was visiting day again, and we were going out with Mum and Wenzel. Yes, I bet they found a home. After Wenzel and Brenda exchanged pleasantries, we were bundled into the car. We went to the car park just down the road by the River Weaver. None of us hugged. We never did. I wanted to. We just weren't like those other families. It wasn't done. Mum stood watching the ducks, whilst Wenzel sat on a wall nearby. I threw a stone into the water. Caroline sat on a swing by a very small children's area. Wenzel wanted to know what we'd been doing. We didn't say. He said they didn't have a place yet, but they would soon. That was the last time I'd seen my mother alive. Her name was Trish Farrow. She was a social worker. I was sat on the sofa at Brenda's. It was blue. She sat opposite me. Caroline sat beside me. Brenda was in the doorway. I could tell by her face something was wrong. She wasn't upset. She was concrete-faced. "Hi guys, you okay?" Trish said with fake happiness. Something was very wrong. I eyed Brenda, who was checking out her physical responses. I hated being read. I switched her off in my head. "What I have to tell you isn't easy to say," Trish said. She was going to go on to say something else when I cut in. What? I asked. She sighed. Your mum was found dead this morning. Caroline had taken an instant stony expression. I could feel it. How? I asked. Trish looked at Brenda, who gave a short nod. She was killed? She started. Clive, I said, staring deep into Trish's eyes. I was certain it had to be Clive. No, not Clive, she replied. I must have looked quizzical, as it didn't make any sense to me. Who? I asked her. Your dad. He handed himself into the police earlier on today. I don't remember the rest. Some said I went upstairs and was in the bathroom an hour. All I remember is being all pushback my granddad made me, flying around the Winsford estate over and over, repeating, Father killed mother, over and over again in my head. I knew I had to remember it. I had to drill it in so it couldn't move, or else I'd forget it. And I couldn't forget it. I'm the eldest. I take care of Mum when Wenzel's not around. Mum's dead. Nan and Alan are dead. Who am I? Father killed mother. Father killed mother. Over and over. Each turn of the pedals. Each half turn. Each moment. Father killed mother. Father killed mother. Chapter 21. Mealtimes no longer mattered. What did matter? I had my own demons to contend with. I had started by trying to find a reason for the killing. Mum wasn't perfect, however she didn't deserve to be killed. Wenzel was more than capable, but I couldn't accept it. He was after all my father, and it was time I acted like the oldest of four. Alan and Nan were dead. Clive was some kind of rampage, and I was sure he'd killed Mum. I wasn't sure why, but I couldn't believe Wenzel had done it. I needed to believe I had a reason to continue. I wanted to take Caroline, Joth and Jodie and move back with Wenzel. I'd find the truth, and we would all live together. Wenzel would tell me what happened, and it would make sense somewhere. I just didn't know where. And then we would be a family again. I was the oldest. I should have taken care of them. Should have known this would happen. I should have done something, anything. Alan was dead because of me. Nan was dead because I'd just watched her being sick and done nothing. And Bernie was dead because I had not listened to my gut. I'd get them back together, because that was my job. Where are Jonathan and Jodie? I asked Brenda, who was making juice in the kitchen. With Winnie and Phil in Alderley Edge, she replied. Where's that? I asked, knowing that Wenzel had told me him and Bernie would stay near a caravan in Alderley Edge. He'd mentioned something about a wizard and caves. They are fine, she told me, turning around and giving me a smile. Do they know about Mum? I asked, stopping my voice from breaking and holding back tears. Yes, they do, she replied, putting the juice on the side in a big plastic mug. I will not cry, I told myself. Mum is not dead. Jonathan, Jodie and I will live together. We will be with Wenzel. A big empty hole hit me. I will not cry, I demanded of myself. Okay, I said, and walked off. I grabbed some kitchen roll from the wooden holder on the way through and blew my nose hard, which hurt a little. I did it again and noticed, in that split second of pain, my mind stopped everything, apart from the pain. I went upstairs blowing my nose over and over and not crying. I lay on the bottom bunk and punched the thick wooden slat above me slowly. Pressure, no pain. Father killed mother, told myself, and punched it again, this time feeling pain. Father killed mother. Punch, 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 pain. Yes, pain was good. Alan flashed in my mind. Punch, punch, punch. With each punch the days fell away and Mum was alive. They were all lying to keep us here. Punch, punch. I'm in the living room at Alan's house. I'm hitting the sofa cushion. He's holding it up for me. Turn your hips, lad, he's saying. Punch, punch. Again, lad, again, it's good. I hear him clearly. I see him more vividly as my knuckles turn red and sore. I'm snapped back to reality as the skin splits. I'm in pain on my back at Brenda's house on the bottom bunk. Little Jim has walked in and looks down at me. Ah! I scream, unloading left and rights into the wood. For around 5 seconds his eyes were on mine before he legged it down the stairs. I'd worn myself out by the time Brenda came up. You're on the top bunk from now on, I was told. I ignored her that night, and a few nights after. Yes, I believe this is where begins the start. the true start of my story. It had to be said that Brenda and Jim did a great job from what I saw with the other children, and either genuinely had their best interests at heart, or at least gave their best to make it look like they had. I, however, hated foster care, and them along with it. Big Jim was rarely home, so Brenda caught the brunt of my attention. I was coming down the stairs, walking beneath the decorative plates she hung on the highest wall when the front door opened. Brenda was stood in the doorway with her back to me when I heard her say, "Hi, Louise," and the girl responded, "Hi, Brenda, is the new boy in?" I stopped in my tracks. Oh no, oh fuck no, I thought. I really didn't need this. I didn't have friends. I didn't want friends. Who was she? What did she want? I bet she wants to know why I'm in care and all that shit. Great, just fucking great. "Louise called for you, isn't that nice?" Brenda said, flashing me a smile. I looked at her, trying my best to make her vanish. No such luck. "Hi," Louise waved, hopping from foot to foot. I looked back at Brenda, trying to convey my feelings of "seriously" in my face. "Go and play then, don't go off the front," Brenda sing-songed me out of the door. Now I'll admit, the foot-hopping thing was pretty cute. She was shy, and that was odd, but it brought the carer out in me. I still had no reason to trust her. "Hi, I'm Louise. I live next door," she said, overly happy about it, and pointing to another huge house with a big lawn and daffodils lined up along it. "I know," I replied. "Oh, you've seen me?" she asked, excited. I thought her pretty green eyes would fall out. I had seen her. She was out most nights with another lad and a girl. They would sit on Brenda's wall whilst I was in bed. She had red hair with that much lacquer on it looked like her fringe was a shield in front of her face, and if I looked beyond it I'd have sworn her eyes would have swallowed me whole. "No, I've not seen you." "I know, because you just told me," I said. Push her away. "Leave me alone," my mind growled. "Okay," she said slowly in a happy voice. "Don't like them much, eh?" she asked, tilting her head back to Brenda's. We'd reached the edge of the drive. I stopped. I wasn't usually allowed off the drive without asking, and although she said don't go off the road, I didn't need the bullshit. I was certain she'd find a reason to bowl at me anyway. Wenzel always had. Father killed mother. Hit me like an allergic reaction. I put my hands in my pockets and tried not to let it show on my face. I grabbed the tissue and stopped myself. I'd look awkward. "Well, I'm out. What now?" I said with a "when is this shit going to be over" appearance. "I get to know you," she said. "Favourite colour?" she fired, jumping on the spot up and down. I didn't know or care. I looked straight at her, not changing my expression. She pulled a sad face. "Don't want me to know you? Okay," she said, springing to life and her eyes sparkling. "You ask me then. Go on, ask me." I couldn't hold it in any more. Inside I was laughing. "No? What now?" I said with a hint of a smile. Okay, Mr. Grumpy," she said, tilting her head left and right and getting closer to my face. She was stood leaning on the post at the end of the garden. I realised she was humming a tune. I didn't recognise it. She put her arms on the post and lay her head on it. Her hair fell along her face. She moved it subconsciously. "I know," she sparkled, standing straight. "First to laugh loses. You'll probably win," she said, laughing. Bitch, I thought, with no malice. She had character, and I liked that. "I'll go first," she said, exploded into a dance around the post. I'd only ever seen Mum and Caroline dance. Both had danced with me. Took me back to Mum's alcohol breath an inch from my face, then a happier memory as Caroline and I danced to Rock Around the Clock at Nan and Alan's. She wore a red dress with a black skirt, and we rocked all night. We both loved it, even though it was demanded by Nan. I looked up and realised Louise was still dancing, but with no pressure. She wasn't making me dance or forcing me to do anything. She wasn't hurting anyone. She didn't have to be there. She chose to be there. She leaned forward and puffed her cheeks out, doing the head tilt thing again. I noticed she had lip gloss on. "Mr. Grumpy," she said, blowing me a raspberry and hopping left and right. I creased up laughing. "You fucking idiot," I said. She flinched. I'd not meant to hurt her. As soon as I'd seen it on her face, it was gone. "Made you laugh, though," she said. Just as her front door opened, her mum appeared. "Louise," she called. "Gotta go," she said, singing "Mr. Grumpy" all the way to the door. As I walked off, I